Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have swatches for you from BLUSH Lacquer. I'll be showing you today their Power and Beauty collection as well as their color of the month for August. The Power and Beauty collection has 6 polishes in it, and then the color of the month is just one polish, and it is a flaky and duochrome polish. So this collection as well as the color of the month will be releasing on August 5th. I'll leave in the description box down below BLUSH Lacquer's page as well as their Instagram and my Instagram where you can see more on this collection, including video swatches and macros. So if that's it, we can go ahead and get into the swatches. So the first polish we have is of Seas and Shells, and this is a neutral taupey gold polish with tiny pink and silver flakies and holographic throughout. So here's our first coat of Seas and Shells. This one goes on really nicely, really evenly. It is still a little bit sheer on the first coat, so I am going to go ahead and do a second coat. The flakies in this do stand out tremendously against the nude as well. So there's our first coat, and here's our second coat of Seas and Shells. This one does cover completely in 2 coats for me. The formula on this is really good. It is really easy to work with. This one does dry down just a little bit on the dull side, so you will want a good top coat. I've tried it with both a matte and a glossy top coat, and it looks great either way. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have Fight Like a Goddess, and this is a caramel brown polish with a shifting pink to gold shimmer and copper and black holographic flakies. Here's our first coat of Fight Like a Goddess. This one has a pretty good coverage on the first coat as well. It is a little bit more patchy. I think this one dries so fast that as you're working with it, it kind of scrapes itself off a little bit, so you might want to be careful on your application. So there's our first coat, and here's our second coat of Fight Like a Goddess. This one does cover completely in 2 coats. It will again dry a little bit dull, and this one will also dry textured because of those little glitters in there. But 1 coat of top coat will completely smooth that out as well. Again, it is a good, easy to work with formula. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have Queen of Gods, and this is a glitter bomb filled with different sizes of blue, purple, green, brown, gold, gold hollow, and silver hollow glitters. So on my ring finger here I am doing my first coat of Queen of Gods, and I wanted to show what this looked like on its own because it is buildable, and then on the rest of my fingers I am layering it over Girls Just Want to Have Sun by China Glaze. And it does take a little bit of manipulating to get the glitter where you want it to be, just to spread it out evenly. But I didn't have to do any kind of fishing or swirling with this. It is completely packed. So there's our first coat. And I'm just going to finish off my ring finger with a second coat of Queen of Gods, and that does build this up to be completely opaque on its own. Next up is Life in the Underworld, and this is a black base with a strong blue shimmer and little red hollow glitters. So here's our first coat of Life in the Underworld, and this one has a similar formula to Fight Like a Goddess where it applies nicely, but if you work with it too much, I feel like it dries just a little bit too fast and it will start dragging off as you're swiping, so you just want to be really careful with your application and that won't be an issue. So there's our first coat, and here's our second coat of Life in the Underworld. This one does cover completely in 2 coats for me. I've seen in a few polishes from this collection that it plays tricks like that. It looks really sheer on the first coat where you think you'd need 3, and then it does build up to be completely opaque in 2. So that is a pleasant surprise there. Again, great formula on this one. So there's 2 coats. Next up is Moonlight Huntress, and this is a super pale blue, and it can kind of look almost white. It's got red, green, and purple flakies, and a very tiny silver holographic glitter to it. And here is our first coat of Moonlight Huntress. And this one is extremely sheer on the first coat. This is not one of the ones that I was just talking about where you think it'll build up to be completely opaque in 3 and then it turns out to be 2. This one does take at least 3 coats to be completely opaque, and I have done 4 coats for this one as well. So there's our first coat. And here's our second coat of Moonlight Huntress. Again, this one is still a little bit sheer on the second coat. I do think this would be really beautiful over a black base. I haven't tried that yet, but I think that's how I'll wear it next. So there's 2 coats. And here's our third coat of Moonlight Huntress. Again, this is not 100%, I'd say it's about 90% opaque on the third coat. This one does dry down just a little bit dull as well as fast, so a good top coat for the dullness of it. Again, really good formula on this one as well. And the last up from this collection is Eye of the Soul, and this is like a medium lavender with a minty green shimmer to it. So here's our first coat of Eye of the Soul. And this one is a little bit sheer in the first coat as well, but this is one of the ones that do build up to be completely opaque in 2 coats. And it doesn't look like a whole lot is translating as far as the shimmer in this, but on that second coat the shimmer really does stand out in this. This one has a really good, really easy to work with formula as well, not too thick, not too thin. So here's our second coat of Eye of the Soul, and this one, like I said, does cover completely in 2 coats. This one dries a little bit dull, just like the rest of them, but 1 coat of top coat and that'll take care of that completely. The shimmer doesn't make it textured or anything like that, so nothing to worry about there. So there's 2 coats. And here is the color of the month, and this is called Behind the Curtain Shadows. This is a turquoise, more green than blue base with gold shimmer and copper to gold shifting flakies. And here's our first coat of Behind the Curtain Shadow. This one does have really good coverage on the first coat. I can still see my nail line just a little bit though, so I am going to go ahead and do a second coat. This one does have a really even coverage though, and a fantastic formula. I really did fall in love with this polish as soon as I saw it and as soon as it got on my nail. So there's our first coat. And here's our second coat of Behind the Curtain Shadow. And this one does cover completely in 2 coats. Again, it will dry to a semi-matte finish, which isn't bad with those flakies. I think it looks really beautiful. I do recommend a top coat, whether it be matte or glossy. It looks fantastic either way. So there's 2 coats. So the color of the month is kind of everything for me right now. I am so obsessed with this polish. So of the 7 that you saw today, Behind the Curtain Shadows is definitely my favorite, hands down. But of the Power & Beauty collection by itself, of Seas and Shells was my favorite. I think this is a really good time of the month to be wearing neutral colors, but to have that kind of shimmer and double take on it just really makes it stand out of the crowd for me, and it looks amazing with a matte top coat as well. So of Seas and Shells was my favorite from the Power & Beauty collection, and Behind the Curtain Shadows was my all-time favorite polish from BLUSH Lacquer. And that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this collection, if anything stood out to you. Let me know if you plan on picking anything up as well. I'd love to hear what you think. Give this video a thumbs up if you've liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more like it. I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.